What is up, guys? We are back in the Garden of Tranquility. Well, I am, you aren't. You are sat in the doorway because it is being annoyingly windy today. Not enough to be unpleasant, but enough to make a lot of noise on the camera. So anyway, to today's video, I am still on a training reset week, which if you want to find more about that, then check out the previous video where I talk about recovery and heart rate variability, or go check out my Instagram where I've been posting my activities for this week to reset my training. So I can't train, I can't really do a tutorial video or a technique video, so today I thought I'd answer some of your questions because it's been a few weeks since we've done a question and answer video. If you guys want to ask a question on this particular video for the next Q&A, whether that's in 1 or 2 weeks, then leave it in the comments section down below, and also you could just generally join the conversation and let me know your thoughts. Also, if you have any ideas for creating any more videos, any more tutorials you'd like, then please leave them down below. I really do read every single and usually reply to every single comment. I'd like to chat to you guys and find out what you want to see. So the first question is in regards to nutrition, and I haven't posted much as of yet on this channel in regards to nutrition, but that is definitely something I plan to do more over this summer as I've got some exciting new ebooks coming your way. The first question then is, in the first question he says, one question for a possible Q&A is nutritional advice for gaining mass while doing bodyweight exercises. I understand it is fine balance of being in a surplus without gaining too much fat. Perhaps share some of the strategies used to lean bulk. Now this is a really important question. If you watched my Project Planche video, then you'll know that I gained like 3 kilos in the space of about 10 weeks during that program accidentally, on a bit of too much of a winter bulk. And this basically led to my performance not being as good as it could have been during that program. I was just getting that one arm chin up. I had a couple of reps under my belt before I started the program, and by the end of the program I'd lost it. I'm only just starting to regain it now that I've cut back down again. If you gain too much weight doing bodyweight exercises, then you're just going to tank your progress, because in bodyweight training your weight is yourself, so you choose how much resistance you put on yourself by how heavy you are. I'm pretty unfortunate to a sense. I'm a heavy guy, I'm like 87 kilos. I'm not particularly big, but for some reason I'm heavy. And this really doesn't help with bodyweight training, it makes it a bit more of a challenge. So my answer to you, I'm going to give you 4 tips on how to lean bulk when training. So the first is rep ranges. Now this may sound a bit arbitrary, but I would suggest spending a good proportion of your training in the 3 to 8 rep range. Now the reason for this is that 1 to 5 reps is kind of pure strength, very little muscle hypertrophy, although you will build some mass. Then that 6 to 8 rep range is definitely kind of a balance between muscle hypertrophy and strength. So that's what I personally like to program in a majority of my training for, simply because that's a nice balance between pure strength and a little bit of hypertrophy, so we should get that kind of athletic aesthetic, as Omar Isuf likes to put it, physique. So you've got a little bit of mass behind you, but you've also very, very functional, and hopefully you should maintain that good body weight to strength ratio. The second tip I would suggest is test your skills before you start your bulk. So this little rascal keeps attacking the camera stand, so that's why it keeps moving everywhere, don't you? So hopefully that was the last of the vicious puppy attack. Yeah, as I was saying, you want to test your skills. So by this I mean you don't want to lose your skills when you bulk. So when you start your bulk, you want to test your skills, see where your level's at, and then monitor your progress as you're bulking. Keep it incremental, don't want to gain too much, maybe 0.2 kilos a week, and then measure this compared to your skills. If your skills start dropping in ability, then I would definitely bring back the bulk slightly and go for that maintenance phase. So how would I do this nutritionally? Well, the first would be what I personally do on a daily basis, and that is carb backloading or cyclical ketosis. So what I mean by this is you are going to basically save all your carbohydrates for that post-workout period. So for breakfast, for lunch, maybe a pre-workout snack, you're going to have high in protein and really good fats, lots of good fats. And this is important for maintaining your calories, but it's also great for your hormones and a load of other stuff. I mean, I've got lots of videos that I want to do and I'll explain this further, but essentially it's that high protein, high fat, low carbohydrates. So keeping the carbohydrates low pre-training. Then you train, and then you stack pretty much all your carbohydrates post-training and keep the fat to a minimum, keep the protein high. And that is basically the best way to go about it. If you train in the morning, then You still want to follow this principle of having that fat and protein in the morning, but maybe have like 20 to 40 grams of carbs post-workout. So you still get a bit of that benefit from restoring muscle glycogen, but definitely keep it to a minimum in the morning and maximize it in the evening. The second tip that I would have, so the fourth and final tip, the second nutritional tip, would be intermittent fasting. This is something that I've used for quite a long time and I still use now. I used to stick to a strict 16-hour fast, so I'd start eating at like 12 p.m, stop eating at 8 p.m, so I'd have that 16 hours. Now I just make it so I eat a minimum of 12 hours apart. So if I stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, then if I want to, I can start eating at 8 a.m. But if I don't eat until 12 p.m. at night for some reason, then I won't start eating the next day until 12 p.m. Sorry, 12 a.m. the night before, 12 p.m. so about lunchtime in the following day. So that's how I personally do it. I stick between the 12 and 16 hours. If you want to go strict 16 or 18, then do that, but I wouldn't suggest going any more. And then when it comes to that, you can kind of still use that carb backloading principle, or you can just eat whatever. You also want to keep your protein high, and I would say between 2 and 2.5 grams per kilogram of body weight, or about 0.8 to 1 grams per pound. I don't go anywhere near the 1 gram per pound. I personally have about 150 grams max if I have an intense training day, and I weigh 87 kilos at the moment. And I find that's plenty to build muscle. So the second question is kind of related to the first question in terms of nutrition. He says, man, I fucking love your videos. Q&A, what are your views on vegans? I'm vegan and having great results. I'd really like to hear your views on veganism. Now, I may piss some people off here, but I don't think veganism is optimal for a majority of the population. This is just my personal view. I think where we've come from and what allowed us to evolve. We have notoriously killed and eaten animals through a lot of our evolution. We kind of wiped out most of the animals. I mean, there was like millions of buffalo that were roaming America and we kind of like killed them all. I mean, a lot of it was to prevent it, but regardless, we killed animals and ate them. That's kind of been a big part of our history. I think the animal rights part of it is admirable. I did go vegan for a couple of months a while back, just out of interest, not for any particular reason, just to experiment with it, and I personally felt like shit. I mean, vegans will say, you didn't do it right, or this sort of stuff, but I mean, everyone is different, and that needs to be considered with a nutritional approach. I wouldn't go for any one blanket statement. Kind of find out, give it a try, absolutely give it a try, but find what works best for you and how you feel. Okay, another question is, any tips on how to increase your wrist flexibility? It would help a lot towards planche. Now, I like this question so much, I actually did a video a couple of weeks ago on my personal wrist warm-up and wrist cool-down routine. So I'll put a link in the description to that if you want to go check that out. Another question is, for programming purposes, is front lever considered a horizontal pull and a back lever a horizontal push? Yes, a front lever is a horizontal pull, but I would actually say that a back lever is also a pull, although there's definitely a lot of pushing muscles involved. In fact, the back lever translates very well over to improving your planche strength. So kind of one in between that one there, but I would definitely class it as more of a pull for programming purposes. I personally like to link the two together and do kind of skin the cats or 360 pulls in my training, where you kind of start from a dead hang position and you pull your body all the way through the rings and all the way back down into a back lever position and then all the way back up. And I personally do like that exercise, but again, up to you. Put a link in the description down below. And again, I would stick between those 3 to 8 rep ranges for those sort of exercises. And that's just my personal take on things. Another question here, and he asked thoughts on grip training and how to implement into routines. And I want to kind of pair this with another question, which is asking, I have trouble with my hands during training. He mentions that he basically finds that 3/4 of the way through the workout his hands are destroyed from training, and would like to know how to kind of help that. So in terms of grip training, I personally don't do too much, to be honest, because I used to climb a lot and I still climb every now and again, so my grip is relatively strong from that. So my first of the 3 tips I'm going to give you for improving grip strength is go do some climbing. It's a pretty awesome exercise for building that grip strength. Basically doesn't get any better than that, and it's really fun, and you could probably class it as a pull workout. The second tip would be just to literally perform hangs. Now there's 2 types of hangs you can go for here. You can do passive and active hangs. So passive is literally where you're just hanging by your arms, dead hang, and you'd probably do this for time. If you want and you're feeling strong, you can do it on one arm, do it for as long as you can, swap to the other arm as long as you can, and you can kind of repeat this for a few times back and forth without hopping off the bar, and that's a really, really good exercise for not only building your strength with your grip, but also your endurance, because we're training that power endurance there. We're having shorter rest, but kind of a tough workout. So that would be tip number 2. And then tip number 3 would be proper maintenance of your hands. So I would suggest using one thing, and that is chalk. Now I've got a climbing chalk back here, but if you use chalk, it will help a hell of a lot. It will hopefully give less slippage when you are training, and slipping can cause some of those calluses to rip off. I would also suggest doing the classic kind of climbers conditioning, where you get kind of like some sandpaper and you rub down calluses to toughen up your skin. Ultimately, your hands will get stronger and they will adapt to your stimulus that you're going to be giving it, so they will get better, but you have to kind of be patient. I will put some links in the description down below to a couple of articles that I've used in the past who just sum this up a lot better than I do, and will be able to give you some exact treatments for improving the strength of your hands in terms of resistance to calluses. So those are my 3 quick tips. And the last question is, I notice you usually wear socks when you're working out, but now you're wearing some Footwears, which are kind of like a martial art parkour shoe. Is there any reason for this? Do you train parkour? Or am I just looking too hard? You're not looking too hard at all, dude. I've recently picked up using the Footwears simply from watching kind of like Ido and Emmett Lewis train with them. They're really quite a nice movement style shoe. They're very minimalist, and they've got lots of grip around kind of the toes and the outer edges, so you can do some cool movement stuff and still maintain grip. It's personally what I prefer for trainers, simply because they cost like £15 instead of 150 quid for Nikes. But equally, I would have some Nike Flyknit 3.0s or some Vibram 5-finger shoes. I kind of just like a minimalist shoe where I can feel the floor and feel my feet gripping. But I do still train most of the time barefoot, especially if I'm doing squats or deadlifts or anything like that. So guys, that has been it for today. I hope I didn't ramble on too long. I have no idea how long this video has gone on for. The puppy has gone to sleep down below me, so I presume I probably wasn't that interesting. But if you did enjoy this video for some bizarre reason, then hit a thumbs up. And as I said, if you have any questions about today's video, or you want to leave a question for a future Q&A, or you just want to join the conversation in the comments, then leave a comment and have a chat. I always reply. I'm always down there answering questions, or if not, I'll be answering them in a future Q&A. So that is it, guys. As always, check out the description down below. I put a shitload of links in there for you guys to check out and read some more into what I've been talking about today, so you're not just listening to me ramble on nonsense. There are other people who are talking about this stuff as well. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a strong week, and peace.